for people that are interested in applying to programs in the United States, I would recommend you to go look up what I've learned to do, or what I usually advise other people to do is, yeah, Professor, I understand that you're busy. You wouldn't have time to start drafting a recommendation or anything.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Akunna, a Nigerian living and studying in Japan. So on this channel, I discuss about my life experiences, study opportunities, and everything about Japan. So today we are leaving the shores of Japan and bringing you an educational opportunity in faraway USA, guys. So stay tuned and watch to the end so you get as much information as you can if you're planning to study or move to USA. So guys, on my channel today, I have a guest with me who is now studying and living in USA. So, Amechi, do you mind introducing yourself?
Hello, thanks, Akuna, for having me on the platform. I'm excited to, do this one with you and be your guest today, even though it's been far away. And Akuna used to be my neighbor before now. Guys, my name is Amici. So I'm a Nigerian, and I'm currently enrolled in a graduate program, PhD program here in the United States. Prior to moving to the United States, I obtained my master's in Japan and in the same university as where Akuna is now. And then she used to be my neighbor. I see her every day. And now we're like thousands of miles far away from each other. And, like the least I can do now is instead of go get dinner from her place, now I can only see her on the screen. Yeah, that's life. Yeah, but I'm excited to be here. Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you
for the
very
opportunity,
much.
Akuna.
Thank you. So let's get started. I have some questions for you. The first thing is the application process. How does this whole thing work? If I'm looking at coming to study in USA, what should I start with? Where should I look first? Just maybe roughly, how did your journey go? Let's hear it.
Well, there's no one process capture it all for application generally. It depends on how an individual wanna approach the application process. But there are certain requirements that
Yes.
you need to have um, prior to application. Um, I would say that the first thing for any prospective student is to have a focused interest on what you want to do. Because if you're just interested, like, yeah, I want to, I want to get admission, I want to, leave the shore of the country, go study abroad, and you're not willing to put in the effort, do the work, prepare those documents, and reach out to grad schools and all that, you're just gonna be stuck in your wishes all in your mind. So the first most important part of it is that you have to make a conscious resolve to follow it up and be serious about your application. I stress the word serious because 90% of the time, like, people reach out to me like, yeah, I want to, I'm interested in grad school. And when you tell them all the different things that they should do, they just lose interest.
Mm.
They just start drawing back, and, they don't even follow up at the end of the day. So if you want to do that, you gotta be serious. Then in terms of, how I got to where I am, in general, I'll give a general overview for like grad school application. So you need to prepare for your grad school application, get some documents in hand. First, you need to have a resume, or like what we call a CV, detailing about yourself. So it has to be like an academic kind of resume.
Mm.
And your biggest tool for navigating through the grad school application process is the internet. So, and I think the internet revolution has really changed lives because you can be in your bedroom and get every piece of information, every bit of information that you want without really, straining an arm or raising your head. So when I say resume, this an academic resume. You have to tailor your resume for, the academic environment for grad school. If the kind of resume that I would design for applying to grad school would be different from the kind of resume that I would design for applying for, say, industry or for a company job or something. And even the way I tailor my resume for a particular program would also be different. So you got to look out for those things. And again, I say your biggest instrument is the internet. Search, just do a little bit Google search, resume for grad school application, and that you see samples online. You take a look at those samples and you work on yours, put in your qualifications, your education, your interests, your experience, what are those things that you have had that, makes you a qualifying candidate for the program that you're applying to. So it should be program specific. And when you do your resume also, look up grad schools. So sometimes, I think in general, the grad schools, for example, say, I'm a chemistry major. So if I want to apply for grad school, I'm going to be applying to grad school programs in chemistry. So look up at universities and all that. And in general, they will want the same thing, but sometimes they will want to specify the kind of things they want on your resume or on your application document. So I go to the website, so say I want to apply to UC, University of California, Berkeley. I go to the chemistry program, graduate program application requirements, and look those up online. So I have the internet. You don't need someone to tell you anything. I don't need to mention anything. You just go there, look at it. This is what they want. This is how they want your resume to be, and you prepare that. So that's number one, resume. Then number two is you have to write a personal statement, or what they call SOP, statement of purpose. So sometimes they call it personal statement, sometimes they call it statement of purpose. It's the same thing. Where you, again, as simple as it sounds, if you've never heard the word statement of purpose before, or personal statement, or you've never even seen what it looks like, that's okay. You don't have to panic. Right now, as I'm talking to you, just do a Google search, right? SOP for grad school. And then you see like millions of samples online. And then you look at them, see how they're being tailored, and then you get inspiration from those. And then you write yours. You don't want to do a copy and paste. You don't want to just go grab something, download it, paste it, and put your name there. Because those things that are available on the same way you see those resources online, it means that whoever is accessing your assessors also have access to those resources. And then if you do a copy and paste, they will know, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, you gotta be at least, just be sensible and reasonable with these things. So you tailor your SOP, statement of purpose, and the other thing requirements generally is your academic transcript. So when you apply to most schools, they want you to have an electronic copy of the academic transcript that you can submit. So you can request your transcript from your university if you have a master's, or if you already have a master's, you also need a master's transcript as well, and then your certificates, all those academic documents, you have them in place, you have electronic copies of those, and then you can use them to do applications. And the other thing that you would need is the recommendation letters. So a strong recommendation is very important. So, but you just try to get the best recommendation that you can. So talk to professors, to lecturers in your universities or where you graduated from, and talk to your previous supervisor. So if you graduated, you must have done 1 or 2 projects, been nested under somebody that can tell about you, say some good stuff about you in a letter, right? Say, please, I want to apply to grad school. I want to apply to these schools. I will need you to, be my referee. I will need you to write a recommendation letter for me to that. To try to see if you can network with other professors, talk to them, and if you have about 3 people that can write good recommendations for you, so that those 3 people have to be in academia, not just anybody. They have to be like former professors that you work with or lecturers. And, even sometimes they might be from the same school that you graduated from. Sometimes they might be from a different school, or maybe you have this exposure, collaborative work with them, and that people that can, or you met them in conference and they liked like your presentation, and they see you as a potentially, um, capable individual, and they can say, yeah, this person has this capacity to do this, and then they can write good stuff for you. Yeah. But I don't know what your viewership is, and I want to just keep it like basic. But sometimes also is some of these people can be, a little bit difficult in terms of putting down recommendation for you. What they will say is, I have no time, I'm busy, blah blah. So what I've learned to do, or what I usually advise other people to do is, yeah, Professor, I understand that you're busy. You wouldn't have time to start drafting a recommendation or anything. What if I write you a document about myself, right?
Yes.
Just give you that overview of all the capacities things that I have and all that. And then you can just get that information and, transcribe them into a good recommendation with that. So you wouldn't have to like stress yourself or worry about like maybe there are things that you need to research about me.
Yeah.
This is all the detailed information about myself that I will want you to put on the recommendation letter. And then you do that, and then it becomes easier for you. So you have that copy, and you just walk through that and get something and apply for it. So that when I send you the link, you just like upload something good about me and sign it. That is that part. So I think we've covered most of like the basics, like the CV, the statement of purpose, the recommendation letter. And the next thing that is also like basic requirements for applying to grad school, knowing what schools to apply, what programs to look out for. There are resources online that you can use to look this up. And for everything I've said right now, you might not get it in one go, and you might need more specific directions. So there are resources available. I'm in the United States. For people that are interested in applying to programs in the United States, I would recommend you to go look up Education USA. So if you just look that online, it's called Education USA. It's like a US education program. And they even have this specific programs that are designed to mentor, prospective applicants in US embassies across Nigeria. They have resources there. They will show you. So if you want to look up grad schools that are programs specific, go to those websites. They contain a lot of resources. So I just mentioned the Education USA because you will see more details on there, like even give you external links to like how to look up programs and all that. So you got to do a lot of reading. So it's time to, if you want to apply to grad school, I tell my friends, it's time to use the internet for business. You settle down, get a computer, get it connected to an internet, and then instead of social media and all that, you allocate. I'm not saying that you should just stop and just become religiously, dedicated to grad school, but I'm saying that, invest more of your time and energy into looking up stuff by yourself. So when you do those research and you find out yourself, you're gonna even be a pro. You know more things than I do in this regard. And then so Education USA is a good resource to start with. And then for some precocious people, for very brilliant people who have good grades and outstanding people who have graduated with like a good grades in their undergraduate programs, they also offer what they call the OFP, the Opportunities Funds Program, where the United States Embassy in maybe Lagos or Abuja in Nigeria you would apply, and if you qualify, they enroll you into their mentorship program, and then they would give you resources. They will pay for you to apply for like some tests and all that. And if you get admission and get all that, they will pay for your flights and all those, cover the expenses for you to get there. So it is something that is worth checking out. So go check it out, Education USA. I'm kind of trying to like sell that platform for them right now. Yeah,
Yes.
which is cool. Yeah,
Thank you,
it's
because
gonna be beneficial to you.
some of these things are not hidden, but they're not everywhere. So it takes
Mhm.
people with experience to bring it to our doorstep. Like, I really appreciate this. Like, I always ask myself, how did our forefathers survive without the internet? Like, it's a
Yeah.
gem. So many things are bound. You're literally one finger touch away from all the information you need to apply to grad
Yes,
schools all over the world.
that is totally true. But I think our forefathers are way more hardworking than us. And
But
sometimes I
I
also feel
agree.
like the volume of information available right now is way larger than the volume of information available to them then.
Of
So
course.
the information have like the volume, if it was like a chapter
Hmm.
50 years ago, is now like 200 chapters now.
I
So
totally
combing through all that, if not for the internet, you couldn't do that. But like what our forefathers, what my dad had to do was to just go to a library. There's this little logbook and it contains the journal and everything. He can just spend a week or two in the library and he have it. But the hard work, you see, I'm not saying that he spends a day,
agree.
just like a week or two, but they have to be there, passionate, dedicated, looking for the information, going through all these different sections, going through all these different journals, going through these different magazines, and finding information from post office and all that. Go to news outlet, like the newspapers, the
Yeah.
dailies, and all that. They do those reading. How many of us read even headlines today? Like, no, all we want to see is just some social network, right? So,
So true.
yeah, it's all about priority first. And then even in your priority, how much time you dedicate to doing that's needed for you to get everything you want. Mm.
So true. Okay, I have one question. English tests. I know some schools exempt Nigeria because we're an English speaking country. Well, they don't
Mm.
exempt some other countries. And also some schools do not exempt Nigeria. So is GRE and English test, TOEFL and IELTS like a basic requirement? Did you have to write that
Yes,
for yourself?
yes. So I was sorry I skipped that part. Um the the test requirements, not just the English test, but even like the graduate record exam, the general test, like you can. So GRE is the graduate record exam where you have to do both English test, verbal, quantitative reasoning, all that. That's one requirement. And I would recommend that if you want to apply to grad school, you should take the GRE test. At least use it to standardize yourself and bring yourself up, because the process itself of like taking the test, preparing for the test, studying all that, it's going to increase your mental capacity. It increases your IQ to some extent, and it makes you more laser focused on what you're doing. And if you have this GRE, you already have an upper hand. Even for a school that waives it, they will still have options for you to put in additional information or additional documents about yourself. And that might just be a tiebreaker for you. For example, if we both apply to a school and, maybe they want to take only one student, and they say, okay, we waiving this GRE, we waiving all that. And then at the end of the day, me and you, we come out with the same level of qualification, the same points in terms of like, their rubric for like assessing student. We are like a tie.
Mm.
And then they look up our additional information. Okay, I have a GRE score. I took this test, but you don't. Right? They'll be like, okay, let's find a tiebreaker. And then they'll take someone who has that, because at least we know what this person is capable of, but we don't know what the other person is capable of, other than just things that he stated on his CV and resume and the transcript, right? We want to
Yeah.
see if they can go. So you go that extra mile.
To boost
The
your chances.
GRE registration is very good. And then for the English test, Most schools do waive. Recently, most schools have started trying to waive the English test requirement. But when you apply to grad school, so the thing about grad school, something that I should mention, which is very important about grad school, that's where the English tests do become important, is this. When I mean grad school, I mean grad school in the United States, sorry. So I will be saying grad school, but I mean here in the United States. When you apply to grad schools in the United States, there's always option for you get offer to the program. And then additionally, you can get offered to the program with funding. So most people want to get offer with funding. And if you want to get offer with funding, there are two funding options that the school considers. It's either they're going to give you a research assistant funding where you basically in this research program and whoever you working with, your principal investigator or the professor, has funding for that research. And then you're getting paid, you're getting stipend through that funding that they have. Or they will give you offer for admission offer with funding in terms of like a teaching assistant, which means you gotta teach maybe undergraduate classes or labs or do like a campus job. And for you to do that, you come in to do a teaching assistant. So you involve in the teaching process for American undergraduate students who English is their mother tongue. They want to know if you're able to communicate effectively with the students, right? So the English test becomes very necessary because they want to really bring in people that can. Okay, you might know these things like you live in Japan. I was in Japan there, you get brilliant people, right? But because their language is not English, right? They know this science, they know this stuff, they know their stuff very well, but in their local language. But when you come to like speaking English, communicating it to other people who don't understand their local language, it becomes difficult. So if they want to bring you here to be a teacher, yeah, they trust your knowledge. They know that you know these things, but will you be able to communicate that knowledge to their students? And the only way they can verify that you're good, proficient with the language is through a language test. So you take a TOEFL test or you take an IELTS. But for most universities in the United States, they would prefer you to take the TOEFL. That's the standard for, applying to the United States. So you get a good score because in the TOEFL test, they have like the speaking part, the reading part, the writing part, and the listening. So it's effectively assessing how much you can communicate in the English language, including you being able to listen to Americans speak and comprehend what they say in their own accent and all that. So those are very important. So the language, the English proficiency test is very important, although some schools waive it. Yeah. But I would say that if you have the resources and you have the capacity, it is recommended. What you want to do is get a GRE score, get a good GRE, not just register for GRE and just go write it because you want to get a good score, something that will give you an edge, right? You want to really prepare for that. And in preparing for that, I think you increase your IQ. And then also go register for TOEFL tests and get a good score as well in all the sessions. So you also prepare for that, which means that you're also going to start, if you, like, let me speak it like I would do in Nigeria. So if normally in a pidgin English, they speak every day, just they talk. So it will make you begin, try to, be more serious in
English.
Reasoning matter for Igbo people. So you go, at that point, you go come begin the, big more serious about how you speak and all that. It doesn't mean that you should start, you don't mean say go start to form phonetics or something. It just means effective communication. Can you speak in simple terms that I can understand? And can you speak in the correct tenses? That's what it is basically all about. So those tests are important, but some schools do waive it. And again, you just have to look up the graduate school requirements for your program for a particular school and see if they're within that test or not. And then for some schools for Nigeria, because English is the official language in Nigeria, most schools are beginning to acknowledge that Nigerians don't really need the language proficiency test. So what they do is that they would ask you to get a proficiency letter from your
University.
home institution. That's where you graduated from. That proficiency letter is going to state that you did your undergraduate program in English language. You wrote your thesis in English, you wrote your exams in English language. And for some schools, that's good enough because you've been learning in English language and all your undergraduate training was in English language. So for them, it's like, yeah, that's fair. But I would recommend that if you have the resources, you should still go ahead and get those requirements in terms of GRE and TOEFL, the English test. Yeah, just have it so you can boost your application strength with that.
Okay, it's good you mentioned funding because it leads me to my next question. With regards to funding, how popular or how common is the Japanese package, like where you have a scholarship, paying your tuition fee, and then receiving a stipend monthly? Do you have such kind of packages in USA?
So